What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be reviewing the 6th episode of the 4th season of Game of Thrones. Where do I even begin? This episode was awesome in all the areas and scenes that were in this episode. But let's start off with Bravos. After hearing about him for so long, we have finally see Bravos, and the landscape view was awesome, along with the giant statue that was next to it. And for the first time you see it, it looks pretty amazing. But let's get to Stannis. When this is where the episode kicks off. Stannis has finally left the island, and I cannot be happier that he's finally doing something. And the introduction of the Iron Bank was pretty well suited to the reputation that we were hearing about through the show. The members of the Iron Bank came out, and they were cold, they were calculating, they didn't show any emotion. They were just calculating up the probability of Stannis's fight against King's Landing and him getting the Iron Throne. And Stannis you just see Stannis, and he's agitated because they made him wait for a long time already. And back in Westeros, this would not fly. Stannis would snap, and they'd do what Stannis said because he was the king or he was the lord. But in the Bravos with the Iron Bank, they don't care. It's their rules. You don't like it, you get out. And they made good points. Bravos, the Iron Bank, made good points against Stannis. They said, so, you have 4,000 men, you have roughly 32 ships, and you have no means of producing food to supply your men. It doesn't seem like the odds are in your favour. And, of course, after this, Stannis leaves, and this is where Davos signs. This scene was classic Davos. He really signed in this scene. It amazes me that despite Stannis turn against him every turn, and Stannis constantly siding with the Red Lady against him, he still remained loyal to Stannis, and he sang Stannis' praises in this episode. He even saw the 4 fingers that were chopped off, saying how honourable and just Stannis was. Even though Stannis locked him up in a jail for God knows how long. And he was saying that Stannis is the rightful king. And I like how he was saying Tywin is going to die soon at any point. And none of his children or grandchildren or any part of his family seem fit to rule. Never mind pay you back what you are owed. But Stannis is just, as he explained, using the fingers that he got chopped off. And he will act. And Davos really did a good job here. And it's another reason why Davos is one of my favourite characters. He's honourable, he's loyal, and he just... I think it's going to be his downfall at one point, but in this scene he really signed, and I loved it. And then, speaking of that, the next scene afterwards, Davos was talking to his pirate friend. I have no idea what his name is, but I was so happy to see him back. I honestly thought he was dead in the Black War, because we didn't see him, and I just assumed... we saw him after Black War, and he was alive, but I assumed that he was going to be gone out of the show for good. But I'm happy that he's back, and it was a funny scene as he was saying, this man does not love me, he wants to kill me or get me killed. And then Davos just throws a big bunch of, I believe, coins at him, and he's like, let's go, me and you gotta get ready. And now, with that knowledge that now the Iron Bank are backing him, you wonder, is Stannis really going to make a move? Is he actually going to make a move now? And how serious is he going to become? Because if the Iron Bank are backing him with all the money, there's no end to what he could buy, what his resources could be. And it's really going to be an interesting step for the Stannis character, as well as Davos. And I'm really looking forward to see how that develops in the future. Now, let's move on to the next part of the episode. Tyrion Greyjoy and Ramsay Snow, aka the Bastard. Oh, that bastard. I said in my last review, I do not like him. But, moving on. Yara finally came into the show, and I was pleasantly surprised that she actually finally showed up after halfway through the season. And she delivered an awesome speech, saying, what they did to your prince happened to you as well, and we will avenge him. And it was just an awesome speech, and it gets you pumped. You're like, yeah! Come on, let's take out these bastards. But when Yara gets there, it's all well and good. Things are looking good. And when she gets to Tyrion, opens the cage, but Tyrion just doesn't go. He's freaking out. He doesn't even recognise his own sister, and you can tell he is broken. he's a shell of what he used to be. He's not even a shell. He's not even Tyrion anymore. He's just Reek. He's literally Reek. But then of course we see Ramsay come in with all cuts over him, and this guy is anytime you see him, it emphasises how crazy he is. I mean, prior to this, it showed him doing his business with the girl in the bedroom, and now he comes up with a bunch of cuts, and it's leaving you to wonder, what did he kill the girl, or what did he get into a fight beforehand? And it doesn't really matter what he did. It just shows how insane he is. But at the same time, it was extremely entertaining, and I was very surprised when we started fighting, because I expected Ramsay to get his ass kicked, but he was taking names and just kicking ass. I have to admit, he's a lot better fighter than I ever gave him credit for. I did not think he was going to be that good. And the surprising part is, Yara had to run because Ramsay won, and he let the dogs out, and Yara and them had to retreat. But when Yara said, my brother is dead, at first I was like, fuck's sake, is he going to give up on him? But then I don't think he's done, because Yara doesn't seem like the type one just to give up like that. And the whole Greyjoys, they're not ones for giving up. Well, not that easily anyway. I have a feeling he's going to come back, and Ramsay better watch his back. But speaking of the Ramsay, let's move on to the next scene that involves Ramsay and Tyrion. And this just degraded Tyrion to the last. This was just depressing to watch. Ramsay said to Tyrion that you remained loyal to me, and for that you deserve a reward. So he gave Tyrion a bath. And when Tyrion removes his clothing, you can see all the scars and the cuts that are on his body, and you can just imagine the torture he must have went through to be that broken. I knew Tyrion was going to be screwed up, and but I did not think he'd be that broken. Tyrion's not even left anymore. It's just Reek. It's just all Reek. There is no trace of Tyrion left from what we've seen in this episode. And when he tells him to get into the bat, and Ramsay's just wiping him with the claw, it's just so depressing, because Tyrion was never a popular character, but at the same time, it was kind of tragic what happened to him through the entire show. That he was taken away from his family, but when he went back, his father didn't accept him, and then he has this torture. It's just been a tragic set of events for him since the show began. I know people say he brought it to themselves, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still terrible. And then when Ramsay said, I need you to do something for me, you need to go to a castle, and you gotta play a role. And Tyrion's like, or should I say, Reek says, what? You must be Tyrion Greyjoy. And I was like, think on this for a second, how broken do you have to be that you forget your original identity and you become this new, lifeless person, in this case Tyrion as Reek, and the role you play is who you originally were, but it just feels like it's a role now. That it's like Ramsay pulled Tyrion out of his soul, and now there's none of him left except for the role that he's going to pretend to be. And I'm not a book reader, but I have a feeling that where this is heading is that Tyrion is going to end up killing his father for Ramsay, or should I say Reek, playing as Tyrion, because with the leeches, where Melisandre throws leeches into fire, Balon Greyjoy is the third name, and Joffrey's already dead, Robb Stark is dead, Balon's the last one, and when Ramsay said you have to play Tyrion Greyjoy and head to a castle, it makes sense. I'm saying it right now, before the season ends, Tyrion is going to kill Balon Greyjoy. That is what I believe is going to happen. It's just, the Tyrion character is just getting so tragic. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's very interesting. And now, what's next? What else do we have? Anything else now regarding Tyrion, Ramsay, and Yara? No, I believe that's all. I'll be back shortly for the second half of this review.